Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to part 2 of Live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210. Tell them Chris Palme sent you, and you can also email the dealership at info@barrycullen.com. Live with CDP Sports Talk is also on weeknights from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern on radio station CKRT, Border City Radio in Windsor, playing the best soft rock music of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and also on WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, the home of Southern Talk and Sports, weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. I hope everyone's doing well on this Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. I know where I am here in Southern Ontario near Toronto. The weather is miserable. We're going to get more rain and possibly more snow and wind. So it's a good night to stay in and check out Live with CDP Sports Talk. And I'm looking forward to my second show today. And this is her first appearance on my show. And her name is Lana Carrino. She is a co-host on the Squad Pod through the Bougie Sports Network in Cleveland. She's also a huge Cleveland sports fan, an emerging WWE fan, and a fitness instructor and an HR director. So I'm so excited to have Lana on our show tonight, and we're going to talk a little bit about Cleveland sports. Good evening, Lana. How are you?
Good evening. I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. I see you got your Browns gear on.
Yep. I went Browns tonight.
I went with Tigers because the Tigers are off to their best start since 2015, 4-0. But the Browns had such an exciting year this year, especially with all the injuries to the quarterbacks. And then 39-year-old Joe Flacco, former Eagle quarterback, came out and kind of came to the rescue.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'll tell you, the moment that Nick Chubb got hurt in that Steelers game, that early Steelers game, I went, okay, that's it. We're done. I mentally threw in the towel for that team, and then it just snowballed. Deshaun, and oh my goodness. I mean, it was just, the injury list was crazy. And then here came Joe Flacco off the couch. So it was absolutely amazing to have him. And I'm kind of sad we don't have him right now.
Wanted to ask you about that. Why didn't they want to try to keep him for maybe another year? Or do they have a younger quarterback that they really want to get more reps to next year?
I'm thinking that was most likely it. Again, like you said, Joe, 39, do we take another year? And the QB room for us, to me, I'm concerned. I don't think, even if Deshaun Watson were to be back for game 1, is he going to be Deshaun Watson that we all know from the Texans, right? I don't think so. But we have Jameis Winston, so he looks very promising. So I'm really excited for him. We have, Tyler Huntley signed as well. So I guess we'll see, what we can do there. But like you said, I would have loved to have seen Joe even just one more season as a backup.
I'm wondering, I haven't heard about him retiring yet. I'm wondering if he's going to just keep himself in shape and in case somebody needs him again during the regular season, or he's actually going to retire this time.
Well, the Colts have him.
Okay, the Colts got him. Okay.
The Colts got him. Okay. So, I'm gonna cry in my Cheerios if he does super well with the Colts and we're not doing well.
You know what? Age is just a number, and you know what?
True.
and being a quarterback, I don't care if it's the NFL, CFL, or college football, the more experience you have, the more of an asset you are. And Tom Brady, as much as we probably hate him as a Browns fan and as a Eagles fan, Tom
Mhm.
Brady proved to everybody that age is just a number. And the
True.
way the game has changed over the years, quarterbacks can play a lot longer than they did back in the 70s and the 80s, even
Mhm.
to the 90s.
True, yeah, that's a good point. And, he did say that Joe said that he was always throwing the ball. He was always in the yard throwing the ball with his kids, and he was always staying in that tip-top shape, and that was proven so. He came out, no injuries, knock on whatever for him. Um, it's just amazing. We miss him, I think. I'm speaking for some of Cleveland. We miss him.
It was an exciting season, just a disappointing playoff finish. They that game against Houston, they won it like 14 all, and then the defense just fell apart. And just
Mhm.
got to credit the Houston Texans. They had a tremendous year, and CJ Stroud from Ohio State was the rookie of the year. So it's
Yeah.
just disappointing end of the season, but I think there's a lot of positives for the Cleveland Browns going into the 2024 season.
Mhm. Even though the defense, for some reason, didn't appear to travel well last season, um, they're great. Jim Schwartz is great. So I think we have, like you said, we've got that really good defense right there. Um, when we played the Texans the first time in the season and we beat them, we really didn't play them because CJ was out. They have multiple, key players out for that game. So then we get into this playoff game, and here we are actually playing the Texans and actually playing CJ Stroud, who I was all credit to him, totally amazing in that game.
I'm assuming you're an Ohio State fan. Did you think when he was with the Buckeyes, he was going to be this good in his first NFL season? Because the NFL game's a lot faster, stronger, and it's really hard for a young quarterback. And he really was outstanding in his first year with the Texans.
He really was. I mean, and good for him. Good for him. You're right. That's an overwhelming situation to walk into. It's faster, everybody's bigger. I mean, just the pressure triple fold, right? So, but yeah, I kudos to him. Good job.
Yeah, because Tom Brady, he sat in his first year.
Mhm.
I know Peyton Manning, he struggled. He was brutal. And sometimes quarterbacks just, yeah, even Aaron Rodgers, he had to wait 3 years on the bench before he took over from Brett Favre. And then Jordan Love of the Packers, he had to sit on the bench for a couple years to replace Aaron Rodgers. So the traditional old school says rookies need to be on the bench for the couple years, but CJ seemed to prove that right. But we're going to see how he does in year two because now teams are going to have more game footage on him from
Mhm.
last year. So I think year two, we'll see how good he is going against teams for a second and third time now.
Yeah, true. I agree.
What's the mood about Ohio State Buckeyes football right now?
I think it's pretty good. We no matter what happened last year, you know, we okay, that's fine. Let's get back to it. Let's get back on it. Let's get back onto to those championship seasons. So, and I think that will happen. I think
You
we'll
think Ryan Day's the guy to lead the team back to the championship? Are you still not sold on him?
I'm not overly sold on him. And I know some are. I'm not in can't speak for everyone, but I'm not sold. But who takes that spot, you know?
That's a good question. I do think he's going to be on the hot seat this year
Yeah.
to
This
produce. Like,
yeah.
I
This
think
will be
they'll, I think they'll win 10 or 11 games. I think they'll be up there with Michigan for the Big Ten. It's just whether what they do in the playoffs. Now, Cleveland's a great sports city as well. Now, do you follow the Cleveland Monsters of the American Hockey League a little bit or no?
not very much.
Okay.
They have a really good following now. Let me tell you. Great
Cleveland
shot.
Cleveland did have an NHL team in the 70s called the Cleveland Barons. They played at the old Richfield Coliseum where the Cavaliers used to play, and
Yeah.
it just never worked out there. And I'm thinking, you know what, with Columbus being established in the NHL, and
Mhm.
Columbus is what, 3 hours, 2 hours from Cleveland?
Yeah, about
It
there.
would it would be nice to see Cleveland get an NHL team because then they would have a rivalry with Columbus and obviously Detroit being 4 hours away. So
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if the NHL one day will come to Cleveland.
Hey, that would be fabulous. We welcome we love our sports here. So we welcome anyone, any team that would want to come in and represent the city. And I am so envious of the Red Wings and the fan following the Red Wings have. I mean, that is a Red Wings town up there.
Yes, the Lions too. The Lions fan base. I'll tell you this: if the Lions ever win a Super Bowl, I think they'll even have more than the Red Wings because the Lions fan base has been loyal for 60 years. They haven't won a championship since 1957, and this year was the first time they ever hosted 2 playoff home games in their history.
Wow. I was cheering so hard for the Lions to win that last game. Well, first of all, I wanted a Lions Brown Super Bowl. And then we stepped away. And then I thought, okay, well, the Lions and anybody, and so I was so bummed. I was so bummed for you all up there.
But those 2 franchises, the Browns, the Lions now finally have an owner in Sheila Hamp Ford, who hired the right guy, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. And the Cleveland Browns seem to have stability now with Andrew Berry. I believe he's your GM, and
Yes.
Kevin Stefanski as a
Stefanski.
head coach. Yeah. So to me, I think the Browns and the Lions have finally started to win because the ownership finally hired the right people to run the operations. Thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Yep. Oh, absolutely. I personally feel Andrew Berry. I mean, his resume speaks for itself, first of all, but he is very smart guy. I mean, and Kevin is as well. And then together, you get those 2 together, and they're like 2 little masterminds. They look at numbers; they're very analytical. I'm just amazed at everything that Andrew Berry has done in this offseason. And, when I look at who we've re-signed and some of these new signs, these new players signing, I'm like, wow. When I looked at the list of who we should probably keep, he went right for it. Everybody that I would think of.
Because the ownership has struggled with hiring the right GM, the right coaches. You guys went through a ton of quarterbacks since 1999, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on the current state of the Cleveland Browns franchise with the coaching staff and Jim Schwartz, Lions head coach, Buffalo Bills defensive coordinator, Eagles defensive coordinator for Super Bowl and Super Bowl 52, and now with the Cleveland Browns. And I think he's a tremendous defensive coordinator, and I thought he did a good job with Cleveland last year.
I think so too. And I'll tell you, we did so well in 2020 when Kevin Stefanski took over as a head coach. So yeah, 2 things. We have run through quarterbacks and we have run through head coaches. So I lived through 1 and 31, and it was extremely painful over those couple of years, right? So bringing in Kevin, huge move, did well in 2020. After 2021, 2022, we had those years, we're staying afloat, right? But I'll tell you, Kevin got in there and took care of business. See you later, Joe Woods. Here comes Jim Schwartz, right? We have Bubba with our special teams coach, who's amazing, which we really needed. We found out very quickly how important your kicker is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Very quickly. And, just even those 2 coming on was a massive change to the coaching staff. And of course, being led by Kevin. So I think we've got a very good structure from a coaching perspective. And we do have Mike Vrabel now. Now, Mike Vrabel.
I wanted to ask you about that. You beat me to it. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mike Vrabel is technically his title coaching consultants. So he's it's kind of like, we want this guy, but we don't really know if we have a title for him or a job for him, but we're going to find something for him to do, So I feel very confident. And Ken Dorsey too. I mean, as the OC.
from the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, I think he got the shaft in Buffalo, unfortunately. But you know what? I do think can be a good offensive coordinator. And yeah, fortunately, he took a lot of heat in Buffalo because of their failures to get by Kansas City. And I don't think it was all Ken Dorsey's fault.
I agree. I totally agree. I think he's going to be great. And when it raises when Ken was hired, uh, it raised a lot of questions of, okay, well, is he going to take over the play calling from Kevin? That's Kevin's baby. I don't know if that's something that he will give up. But I think if he had to, I think he's got his guy, you know?
My only concern from the outside is, let's say the Browns get off to a slow start. Can you see the media and the fan base, the dog pound, say, "Hey, we want Mike Vrabel in as head coach"? That's my only concern about bringing somebody like him, who's got a good record as head coach of the Titans, and obviously he's one of the Belichick mentors as well.
Mhm. Yes, here's and I'm gonna say something that I'm sure a lot of fan bases would say. We have a lot of overreaction that happens,
It
Any
happens, yes.
anytime anytime, the Browns lose and it's Kevin made these terrible plays, it's well, so far, Jim Schwartz should be the head coach. Jim Schwartz should be the head coach, that's why he was brought in, he's gonna give heat to Kevin. Kevin doesn't feel that heat, right? Um, I don't see that, but that you are exactly right. That's exactly what this fan base does. Any loss, it's hashtag fire Stefanski.
It's similar to the Eagles fan base. Philadelphia's
Really?
fan base, hey, Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl in Philly. Within 3 years, they fired him. And
Mhm,
Carson Wentz won a Super Bowl with them. He
mhm.
got hurt and they got rid of him. And I see so many similarities between Philadelphia and Cleveland. Passionate, diehard fan base, but sometimes the fan bases and the media can be really tough on their teams.
They are. Oh my goodness. It is. I mean, even through this whole free agency, anything would come up. Oh, we re-signed so and so, and then you got this camp over here, like, well, why would we do that? We could have went and got this guy, and we've got the Flacco camp, and we've got the Deshaun camp, and they're like this. Yeah. So yeah, I just kind of I'm not getting involved, right?
And what are your thoughts on the Cleveland Browns wanting a new stadium? Like, I've never been to Brown Stadium, or I can't remember the name of it, but it looks like a nice stadium. It's right where the old stadium was, and it's
Mhm.
not even 30 years old. And why are they looking for a new stadium?
I don't know. It is, it is called the actual Cleveland Brown Stadium. Um, you know, yeah, we're in this push and pull here, there as well. It's not there. There's pros and cons, right, to everything. It's on the
Hmm.
lake, great, but it's not easy to get to, not easy to park. It's not. So Brook Park, which is what 20 minutes southish, whatever you want to call it, of Cleveland. And there's a little more, you don't have the lake there. There's not a lot of area for tailgating. You're taking money away from the city of Cleveland, right? So that's kind of, but they're talking about if they do put in Brook Park, could we possibly have a dome, which changes the game in our weather, right?
Definitely, like, hey, Detroit's hosted the Super Bowl 2 times in their history: Silverdome in '82 and Ford Field in 2005. And if you do get a dome stadium, that gives you guys more option. And for the venue, they can use it just more than for the NFL.
Right, and that's what last week on our podcast, one of the guests we had said the same thing, and it was something I never thought of. You're like, "Oh my gosh, right, we could have concerts year-round and all kinds of events that we aren't having right now while this thing just sits there empty." Um, y the stadium we have now, we could put the money in to renovate it a bit. That's probably what will end up happening because now, actually, as of today, the city of Cleveland has stepped in and said, hold the phone. We want this staying in the city because, just like I said, it's a giant revenue generator. We're up there tailgating 6 a.m. earlier. supporting all those restaurants and bars by 9 a.m. It's just to move it would hurt. I think it would hurt downtown.
It hurt Detroit for 40 years because the Lions originally were in downtown Detroit at
Mhm.
Tiger Stadium. And then 1975, they moved out to the Silverdome in Pontiac, which is 45 minutes from Detroit. And
Yeah.
now the Lions are back downtown with the Red Wings and the Pistons. They're all together in Detroit. And it's really, Detroit has really changed a lot in the last 10, 15 years. And I think Cleveland's going to realize too, if the Browns do move out to the suburbs, that's going to affect all their businesses, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agree. I feel two ways because a dome would be nice. Brook Park's really easy to get to, and I do feel that, but then there is that nostalgia of that building and being
Absolutely.
being on, and we're coined the mistake on the lake whenever that, we have a bad season. So we got to keep that going.
Speaking of that, we'll just get into a little bit of WWE for a few minutes. You're becoming a WWE fan and on your show, and SummerSlam, the 37th edition of it, is coming to Cleveland Brown Stadium this August 3rd. And just thoughts on that, on SummerSlam coming to Cleveland, and how much of an impact that will have on the city.
Oh, it's going to be massive. And people are already, from surrounding states, Michigan, PA, Indiana, all these fans. I've already seen them commenting online, I'm coming to Cleveland. I'm coming to Cleveland. So as soon as those tickets come on sale, everybody better, jump on that because it's going to be amazing. Again, huge for the city, huge event for the city. That thing will, like I said, it will sell out. Hotels sold out. It's going to be a great time. So we are really, really excited to have the WWE here. That's for sure.
I became a fan of the WWF or WWE back in the mid 80s was Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan's what I never was interested into it, but back in the 80s, Hogan and Hulkamania, I started watching it and he got people like myself and changed the game of it. And now 30 years later, it's not the same as it was back then, but it's a different generation. And when did you start following the WWE a little bit?
Very, very, very recently. So within these last few months, I mean, we decided with our podcast, we talk about Cleveland sports, but we also talk if there's anything going on in the NFL, NBA, MLB, we'll talk about those things, issues in the world type of things. But we quickly realized the following that WWE has.
Huge.
And one of my co-hosts, Lysandra, is extremely knowledgeable when it comes to the WWE. She's been a longtime fan. So, and then I have a resource of mine that is he's a genius with WWE. So, really got me up to speed really quickly. But I've really enjoyed it. I started watching the SmackDown and some Raw here and there, and I feel ready for this weekend.
And I cover some local independent wrestling, and I have so much respect for it because even though it's scripted, these guys, the males and females, it's not easy. They have to be a great athletic. They also have to be an actor, actress, and they do take their bumps and bruises. And to me, it is an athletic competition because they can get hurt if they screw up.
Oh yeah, we've just seen so many, that have been out on injury and. It's inevitable. I mean, they're human too,
Here's a little, go ahead.
You can keep yourself in the best shape that you can, but.
Here's a fun fact about the WWE. Two of their biggest stars, Roman Reigns and The Rock. What ties do they have to Canada?
I don't know.
Okay, and this is for Yvette or anyone watching this as well. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, played and was cut by the Calgary Stampeders as a linebacker in 1995. And that's when he said, I've had enough of football, and became a WWE superstar in 1996. And Roman Reigns was a defensive lineman for the Edmonton Eskimos. They had to change their names for political reasons to the Elks. But Roman Reigns was a defensive lineman for Edmonton, and The Rock was with Calgary.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
And Lex Luger, who was a Hall of Fame wrestler, was WCW in that. He played in the CFL with the Montreal Alouettes, and like I said, there's a connection with some of these wrestlers to pro football and then CFL as well.
That is crazy. I did not know that. So which side are you on for this weekend then?
I'm gonna be honest. I would like to see Cody Rhodes win because Roman Reigns has had the title for 3 years, and I think it's time to have a babyface as champion. Obviously, Hogan had it for 4 years. Roman Reigns has really developed himself. Like he's better as a heel than he was a babyface. But I really think it's time for Cody Rhodes to win the championship. And as for The Rock, they made the right decision. The fans were not cheering him as a baby face, and they had no choice to bring him back as a heel. And you know what? I don't think it's a big deal now being a heel or baby face like it was back in the 70s and 80s. It's changed a lot.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I hope it's this has to be Cody's year, and I think they're kind of setting it up that way.
Maybe one day Cleveland will get a WrestleMania too.
Woo! I know. And it's so close to here being in Philly. That's not that far.
Lincoln Financial Field. Yeah, for me, it's about a 9-hour drive, but I'll probably just watch it at home and stuff like that. They haven't had it in Toronto since 2002 when it was The Rock against Hulk Hogan. So it hasn't been in Canada for a while either, but it's hard because every city wants it because it's a big money for the economy for the city that hosts it.
Yep. Like we have right now coming up, we have the women's Final Four here.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that.
We are excited for that for the city as well.
And when does that take place? And which teams are in it?
This weekend, we have Iowa. Who's Iowa? North Carolina, South Carolina. It's leaving my brain completely. Yeah, and so all here Saturday and Sunday.
That's awesome, and I keep calling it the
UConn.
Q. I used to keep calling it the Q, but now it's what, the Rocket Mortgage
Fieldhouse.
And have you been there lately since they did all those renovations?
Yep, I was just there. Gosh, not that long. For the last few months, I've been there.
I was going to say, and how's the women's Final Four being perceived in Cleveland? Is the people excited about it being in your city?
So excited! Oh my gosh, everybody is. Already they've got, all the trucks are there. It's already been transformed. So people that are living up there and close to it are all, videotaping, so we all get that inside look of them doing the setup. But I think everybody's arriving in town between today and tomorrow. All the teams are, and they're going to actually have an open practice from what I hear on Saturday afternoon for fans to just sit in and watch. Because the ticket prices are crazy. They're like $600 a ticket.
Wow. I can't imagine what parking will be like.
Oh, yeah. For the upper level was $580.
Wow. And that's American. So in Canadian, that's like $720 in Canadian funds.
Oh,
yeah. Our dollar's not very good right now. Yeah. Our dollar's like 72 cents American, so it's not very good right now. So yeah, definitely. As for the men's Final Four, obviously Alabama, North Carolina State, UConn, and Purdue. What are your thoughts quickly on that? And do you think that North Carolina State, who hasn't been this far since '83, has a shot as a heavy underdog?
Yeah. I mean, I think UConn's the winner.
You think they're going to repeat back to back?
I do.
What I like about this tournament is sometimes the better team doesn't always win because it's win or go home. And sometimes I wish the NBA was like that too, because these best of 7 series, man, it's like I find these one game win or go home are more exciting.
I do too. Let's just get it over with.
Definitely. Are you planning on going to any of the women's Final Four, or are you going to just watch it at home?
No, we'll just watch it. And plus, it's all going on. All the games are going on when WrestleMania is going on.
Wow. A lot going on.
It's going to be a lot of, between channels this weekend.
Yvette, is she falling in a little bit more too, the WWE?
Not as much.
Not as much?
She kind of turned that over to Lysandra and I. She loves her, fantasy football. She's the fantasy football genius. That's what she's doing a lot of this week.
By the way, if you guys are ever looking for a former WWE superstar to come on your show, let me know because I'm friends with Jacques Rougeau, aka the Mountie.
Oh yeah.
Yes, he came on my show a year ago, and he is such a great guy. He came on for 90 minutes, and he started up his own wrestling academy here, where he's helping young Canadian wrestlers become superstars in AEW or WWE. So if you're ever looking to get him on, just let me know, and I'll reach out to him, and I'll see what it can do for you.
That would be fabulous. Well, definitely, we would love to have him on. I'll tell you that now. So yeah.
Okay.
You and I will be in touch about that.
Yeah, and he was a tag team champion too with his brother Raymond. The Rougeau brothers are famous in Montreal. He was with the Rougeau brothers, and then he later on at the end of his career with WWE, he was with the Quebecers, and they were 3-time tag team champions. And he beat Bret Hart for the Intercontinental Championship. He only held it for 2 days, but he ended up losing it to Roddy Piper at the Royal Rumble back in the early 90s. But he is an encyclopedia, and he's such a great guy.
Oh, that would be amazing. I'd love to just have him listen to him and Lysandra go back and forth.
Definitely. And and some of my favorite tag teams were from the 80s were the Hart Foundation, Demolition, who were like the Legion of Doom, and my other favorite tag team were the Head Shrinkers, who are kind of related to Roman Reigns and The Rock. That family is so huge in professional wrestling. Definitely.
That's great.
All right. I'm going to put you on the spot with some questions. My first question is, can you tell my audience that's based out of Canada, but it's really an international show, just a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am, and you really nailed it on the head in the intro there. I am a Cleveland sports fan here, in Cleveland, Ohio. I am an HR director in my big girl job, and a fitness instructor part-time. And then, we started this podcast in the fall on the Squad Pod under Bougie Sports. And this has really become something that I truly enjoy. And it's led me to meeting people like you and, just getting on and talking about the Browns, the Guardians, the Cavs. It's been such a great time. It's become a new passion for me. I guess I should say. So that's me in a nutshell. Not overly exciting.
And one of the things I love about doing this is talking to my guests and hearing their stories and learning things from my guests.
Me too. I've learned stuff from you. So, right.
Well, hey, I'm still a work in progress. And what I love about being in radio and media, I'm learning something new every day, whether it's from my guests or from doing this show. And I'm a late starter. I didn't start my new passion until 47 years of age. And now I'm on 2 radio stations, and I'm also doing some public speaking to high school students. And one thing, thank you. And one thing about me is when I was younger, I was shy. I hated public speaking. I avoided this. And now at 52, I've just reinvented myself. And I tell people, age is just a number. Don't judge someone, don't judge someone based if they're 20 years old or they're 80 years old. And I just love doing this, and I get to connect with people like yourself and Yvonne and Yvette and a lot of other wonderful guests over the last 4 years.
That is great. No, you're so right. Age is totally a number. You can start anything new anytime. I always admire those people that go to college when they're like 60, and they totally reinvent themselves and learn something new. I'm like, that's great.
I'm doing it the unconventional or old school way of being self-taught, but it can be done. And everybody always talks about the negative aspects of social media and that. But if it wasn't for social media and this technology, I don't think I'd have been able to get into a new career. And it was from volunteering work. How I ended up briefly getting into this was doing volunteer work for a semi-pro basketball team. They asked me to do some camera work, which led to me getting paid for them. And then my camera work led to my podcast and then to my radio show. And it's just changed my life.
That is an amazing story. That's so good. Good for
Well,
you.
thank you, and also that's amazing what you guys are doing as well, because you guys can share this experience too. People think, oh, you're doing a podcast or a radio show from home, it's easy. No, it's not. There's a
No,
lot of work. You go ahead. You know how much work there's involved in it.
there really is. I mean, as soon as that, we are on every other Tuesday night at 8 p.m. And we have certain segments that are the same, but then we have, we throw in, you know, to stay current and stay up to date, right? So it's almost like the next day after that last episode, you already have to start thinking, are we going to have a guest on the next one? Who's that guest going to be? What's happening? So we already knew after that last episode, we have WrestleMania this weekend. So April 9th, guess what we really have to talk about? WrestleMania, right? So, and so we have just been keeping our eyes on everything this last week. And I tried to do a health and wellness segment, and I do that once a month. And so the next one is going to be my health and wellness segment as well. So I got to think about that. It is. It's a lot of work that people don't realize.
Booking guests itself is a full-time job, and I'll be honest, my other career, when I was still there, I was working midnights. I was doing this 5 shows a week with 5 guests, and it was getting too much. I love
Oh,
doing it, but just working midnights and then doing my show on very little sleep. So for me, it's quality over quantity, and for me right now, I'm comfortable doing 3 shows a week with 3 guests,
yeah.
and I do other media work besides this. And I just tell people, don't overdo it, because if you overdo it, you'll burn out.
And you won't love it.
Absolutely. And another word I wanted to use too is consistency. It's not always quantity, it's consistency and doing a good job every time you're on the air. And don't focus on, oh, I don't have 10,000 people watching. Every show you do is like an audition. And for me, it's like another audition to get into another radio station.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. That is.
What have been some of your favorite shows so far and guests so far on your show?
Well, at the end of when was it? The end of February, we had 2 guests. So there, and you'll appreciate this. We have a local radio show, one man show, and he's on in the Canton area by the Hall of Fame. And he every Monday morning at 8 has a guest on that was the founder of waitingfornextyear.com. So the 2 of them, I listen to them every single Monday on my way to work. And I've been listening to them, and they give a really great just synopsis of the sports week since they spoke last, right? And they're both very knowledgeable. And every time I was listening to them, it just hit me one day. I'm like, what's stopping me from asking these guys to come onto our podcast? They're so knowledgeable, So I reached out, and sure enough, they came on, and they were so great. They were really great. So they were 2 of my favorites. And we do have another podcast, all male, that they are so much fun. We all get together and we just laugh. We have the best time. And we had all of them on in October, and that was probably one of our better episodes as well. So yeah.
And reaching out too, you have to do it. And sometimes, unfortunately, people tell you no, or they can't at this time. You don't take it personally. And it's just, and a lot of people in the media industry I never thought would give me the time of day have come on, and I've seen a different side of them. And when you see people on radio, TV, sometimes you don't see what their true character's like. And I've been very lucky, and I think that's great what you guys are doing. And how did you end up getting involved with Yvette? And how did you come up about the show? And like I said, I think she came on my show a year ago, and I could
Yeah.
tell how passionate she is about talking about sports.
Yes. So ironically, that podcast I was talking to you about, the Dog Chug, we were both on there as guests, and Lysandra was on in the background, who's our other co-host. And so we did the show. And after, like the next day, Yvette reached out to myself and Lysandra, and she said, why don't the three of us just start an all-female podcast? I'm like, yeah, there's no reason why we can't. So we just started to talk about, let's not overwhelm ourselves bi-weekly, do every other week. We just kind of talked about what's comfortable with all of our lives. We're all moms, what works for us, right? And here we went. We started in September and still going strong here. And our viewership is going up, 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 up. And kind of going back to what you said too, I'm in charge of finding the guests. And I will say, I've finally gotten to the point in my own skin to where I'm like, what's the worst they can say? No, who cares?
Yeah, or I've had sometimes guests change their mind at the last second, but you know what? I had
Yeah,
to go on live. So
that's right.
I always make sure I have a plan B and a
Right.
plan C. And I've done a number of solo shows myself, but with
Mhm.
guests, I'm always flexible. And when you're flexible with your guests, they remember that too. And one thing too, and you guys probably don't know this for your show as well, just be yourselves because people can sense if you're being fake or phony.
Mhm.
And when I started this 4 years ago, I was scripting everything, I was writing stuff down, and it's okay to write stuff down and points and notes. Talk to your guests like you're at a coffee shop or a
Yep.
stadium, natural conversation. So I've learned a lot in my 4 years, and I think I've
Mhm.
progressed. Progressed and improved, and I'm sure the more you guys do your show on a consistent basis, you'll
Mhm.
keep getting better and better at it.
Absolutely. I feel like that too. I've definitely become, oh, when I watch something maybe early on and compare to how I'm behaving now, I'm just like what you just said. I don't care how many people are watching or who may be watching. It's just I'm talking to you like I would talk, like you said, we're just sitting here talking and nobody's watching us. Right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and I just like to have good conversations and,
Mhm.
and stuff. And I was in a corporate security for 23 and a half years, and I had
Mhm.
to deal with all walks of life being in a casino gambling environment. And I
Ooh.
do feel that prepared me for this career because I had to learn how to talk, listen, ask questions, investigate, and deal with all kinds of walks of life of people.
Mhm.
And I treat everyone the same. I don't care if you're a dishwasher or CEO of a company. I treat
Mhm.
everybody the same.
Agree. Same. Totally agree.
Where can my audience find you guys on social media, YouTube? And again, you're on every Tuesday night at what, 8 o'clock, 8:30?
Yep, every other Tuesday at 8 o'clock. So our next episode will be on the 9th at 8 o'clock. We are at Bougie Sports on YouTube, on at the Real Squad Pod on X, and then Bougie Sports on Facebook. So we'll go Facebook Live, we go X Live, and we go YouTube Live. YouTube Live. And each of our pages. So if you follow me on X, as soon as we go live, I'm live on there as well. So each of our individual pages also go live when we do as well.
Do you guys have a website yet?
We do. It's bougiesports.com. However, it is down right now.
Okay, because I did check it today, and I was like, okay, I don't know what happened with it. So
Oh,
okay.
yeah, Yvette's in a battle right now with the developer of the website. So, and normally it's a great place to go. All the episodes are there or on YouTube as well.
Yeah, and I have a website. It's on beacons.ai. Beacons is like similar like Linktree, and all
Oh,
my social media sites and previous radio shows, everything is on there as well. And
mhm.
I've even joined TikTok too a few years ago, and it's been a great tool. Are you guys on
Yeah.
TikTok too?
I am. And I'm Stefanski girl everywhere,
Okay.
between Instagram and TikTok and X platform. So yeah, I'm getting there with TikTok. I'm
Yeah,
learning.
I joined a few years ago. I thought it was too old. It was foolish. But you know what? TikTok has been a great tool. It's
Yep.
taught me how to cut my own promos, promote my guests,
Hmm.
and put all my media work there. And I'll
Hmm.
have to look and add you up on TikTok when we're done
Yeah.
tonight.
Yes. Yes. For sure. I'm
Do
on
you
there.
have Do you have 5 more minutes for a couple more
Yeah.
questions?
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
By the way, my show was originally called 30 Minutes Live with CDP,
Oh.
but I ended up scrapping the 30 minutes because I've been very fortunate that most of my guests like talking to me for 45 minutes, hour. I did it one show that was almost 2 hours.
Oh my word.
Yes. So I could have made that into 2 or 3 episodes right there.
Exactly. You could have.
And one thing too that's important is I learned how to edit video. So who's the video editor for you guys then?
Lysandra.
Okay, it's tedious, but it's necessary.
Yeah, the work she can do is absolutely amazing. And she, like you had alluded to, she's very self-taught.
And I learned it during Christmas Day. It took me 8 hours, and I was frustrated for a few hours. But
Mhm,
once I took a break from it and
mhm,
kept working at it, I learned how to do it. And it's just the more you can do, the more you become an asset. And it just
mhm.
for me, this is like a learning curve.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I shouldn't do this, but I use her like she's almost like a little crutch, and I need to get in and learn it for myself too.
I've had to step out
So,
of my Stafford comfort zone as well.
mhm.
I'm gonna have to reach out to her and see if she'll be interested in coming on my show as a guest as well.
She would. She's fantastic. Very knowledgeable on all sports.
Yeah, and one thing about this industry too, you don't want to get complacent. Any career, this goes for any career too. The time
Mhm,
you get complacent or comfortable somewhere, it's time to move on. And I
mhm,
met in my last career, I was kind of getting complacent and I wasn't
mhm,
learning. And that's what I love about doing this show because there's something you know this as well, doing a podcast show, and it's storytelling as well.
mhm. Very much so. Very much so. It adds to that work, like you were saying. You have to make it look and feel natural while you're telling that story.
And I'm also doing some media work for the Canadian Football League's Toronto Argonauts, the Buffalo Bisons, the Toronto Blue Jays top farm team, and the Buffalo Bandits of the National Lacrosse League. And even though I didn't go to school for this, I've been getting my education through professional sports teams. And it's just been awesome being able to do live in person interviews. As much as I love doing this virtually, there's nothing better than when you have your little microphone. I bought one of those
Yeah,
little mini
me too.
microphones off Amazon and
Yes,
going
me
up to
too.
people and interviewing people live at sporting events or players and coaches.
Yeah, Yvette and I just got those. And, well, her more than I, this last season, walking through, the media lot, talking to everybody, interviewing people, and it was some of the best footage ever, really.
And you know what? Traditional radio is still there, but they
Mhm.
have to realize live streaming is the future of TV and
True.
radio. And that's why I tell people you can't be just stuck in the traditional ways. You always have to reinvent and evolve with yourself. And I think I have, and I think you probably have in the last few years as
Mhm.
well, and doing your show as well.
Mhm. Oh, yes, for sure. Just these last few months, just what we have put out there is so much better. You know, we just have evolved and dug a little deeper and again, like I said, we're just got to the point where, you know what? We're just going to start asking people to come on. And if they say no, they say no, move on to the next one, right?
Absolutely, or somebody doesn't get back to you, the
Mhm.
show's gotta go on and you gotta
Yeah.
continue, and I've
Yeah.
learned to do solo shows myself, or I've had to move on, but never take anything personally, and, when you do and the word I like to use is rejection. I don't like using the word failure. I think
Mhm.
rejection, I just use that as motivation to prove people wrong, because you're
Mhm.
gonna get a lot of people that support you in what you're doing, but you're
Mhm.
also gonna hear some haters and naysayers.
Mhm.
Block out the noise. Mindset is
Oh,
huge, and you have to believe in yourself.
absolutely. Absolutely. I've that is one thing I can honestly say. I think my entire life is I have never cared what anybody has thought. You don't like me? Okay. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. That's fine, you know, but I am for a lot of other people. So,
Just focus on the people that support you and don't worry about the haters, because every guest I have on has stories like that, and I try to share mine here as well.
yeah.
All right, and finally, we're going to wrap this up with the. I still keep calling them the Tribe, the Cleveland Indians, but we're going to talk just a little bit about your Cleveland Guardians, a rival of the Detroit Tigers. What were your thoughts on last year's Guardians team, and what are the expectations in Cleveland for this team in 2024?
Obviously we were bummed last year. Young team, just didn't go obviously the way you wanted to go, right? This year, feeling a little more optimistic. Now, you should have heard everybody here. We had 2 wins in a row. We have a brand new manager, and it's like, we're going to the World Series. And it's like, calm down, everyone. We're 2 games in, right? So now we're 3-2. And, I think that we look good. I mean, we look good on paper. We have a great new manager who seems to have, kept a really good culture that Tito had built. But to keep that team together, we have some wonderful key players that stay with us. Jose and Quan, Shane Bieber is looking fantastic. Tyler, I always say his name, Bibby. I was going to say Bibby, and it's Bibby, I think. We have the Naylor brothers. I mean, it's
Canadian, both are Canadian.
Yes, they are. That's right. Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. You're seeing more Canadians in Major League Baseball now. Baseball is taking it over because when you hear Canada, you're like automatically hockey, but now it's basketball, baseball, and other sports besides hockey.
Yep. Yeah, we love those guys. We do.
What were your thoughts on Terry Francona's 11 years with the Indians, Guardians, and just quick thoughts on the new manager so far?
So far, it's early on for him. What we've seen so far in these few games, good, and you can, from what I understand, like I said, he's kept that really good culture. He didn't come in and try to shake the whole thing up, little bits at a time. Terry Francona, when he was good, you could see it. You could see that coming for him. He spent a lot of time out with illness. He was leaving mid-game. I mean, different things that were happening with him. You're like, this is probably going to be it for him, right? And sure enough, it was. And, that just happens. Very, very sad. Very, very sad to have him go. He's a great manager. But Vogt, I think, has done a great job walking into those shoes, because those are not easy shoes to fill at all. And so far, so good. And then, kind of bouncing back to my HR world, one of the biggest tips that we like to give new managers is, sit back and watch. Don't come in, we're going to change this and change that. And it's like he took that mentality, to come in and learn his players, learn his team, gel them, keep them gelled together, and off we go. So
I think it helps that he was a Major League ball player, so he can relate to these guys.
Mm-hmm. Oh, completely agree. Completely agree.
And to be honest, this doesn't just go for sports as managers and leaders, but in career jobs, I'm sure you see as an HR person too. Nowadays, you can't manage like you did back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You have to change with the times, and nowadays you want to try to make it a good culture, because if an environment is poisonous, how can you expect a team to function in that?
Right. You're exactly right. And now, again, sports or otherwise, any industry, you're not the only one in the race. So people go. They know if they could be happier somewhere else, they're just going to go.
It's not an easy job either, because you're dealing with all kinds of personalities, and also these guys have agents. They make so much money, and it's not an easy job to deal with, being a manager of a professional sports team.
No.
Or a company. Yeah.
Right. Terrible.
Are you okay for 2 more minutes?
Yeah.
Time-wise? Okay. I got to ask you this, since you're a Cleveland insider. How is the city and the fan base with the team name being changed a few years ago for political reasons from the Indians to Tribe to the Guardians?
I think just like I was saying about the Browns earlier, you got your Flacco camp and you got your Deshaun camp. And I think it's still the same way here too. You have you have a group that absolutely refuse to not wear anything Guardians. It's all Chief Wahoo. It's all Indians. That's it. And then you have some that even wear both. They might have a Chief Wahoo hat and a Guardian shirt. You just accept it all, right? It really, we had some pretty vocal people about it at first, but I think everybody's, embraced it for the most part. Like I said, you have the Wahoo camp that's just what they're going to do. And that's fine. I mean, you go to the games, like I said, everybody just mixes in with each other. There's no hate. There's no mean, take off that Wahoo hat. There's none of that going on,
Is that drummer still there? I think I can't remember his name, but he's been there since '74. No, he's no longer there at the ballpark.
He passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
2023. Yes, he had cancer. And then now we have the drum there. It's memorialized there in his spot. So it is, yeah. Oh my gosh. So sad that he's no longer with us, but what a great legacy he left.
And I see they did some renovations to Progressive Field this year as well.
Yes.
Do you get to go down there to a few games per summer?
I do. I try to. I went to the home opener last year. Good time. A little crazy. It was sold out. What we started to do? I don't know if they do this at Comerica Park, but we put in standing room only areas to almost sell more tickets. And you can buy a standing room only pass. It's like $50 for like the whole year or something like that. And jam-packed, especially on that home opener. Now, our home opener this year is on Monday with the eclipse. Well, it's not till 5:10 in the evening, but I'm like, are we kidding right now? We're going to cram a bunch of drunk people in downtown Cleveland all day long to look up at the sky and then throw them into Progressive Field. This is going to be a mess. Total mess.
Going to put you on the spot here. What is your favorite ballpark drink and food at Progressive Field?
You know what? I'm super simple. Now, there's one thing that they had last year and I wanted to try it and I didn't get to, and it looked really good. They now have crab nachos. And I really wanted the crab nachos. But to me, you can't not just have a simple beer and hot dog. And sometimes maybe a soft pretzel. So those are the best. Go simple, right?
And what's the best restaurant in the area by Progressive Field?
Oh, gosh. That's a rough one. East 4th is not too far away. And on East 4th, we have multiple restaurants here. And I think that's probably the best place to go. It changes a lot. You have barbecue there, some Italian there, you have Mexican there, and that's just a great area. You can go, it's all open. They have outdoor seating, and you got music coming from everywhere. And so it's just a really nice vibe. It's a little brick road down the center. And I think that it is great. You just go down there, you sit, you eat, you can walk right over to the ballpark. I think that area is just the best. Probably the best.
All right, and we're going to wrap this up. What makes Cleveland such a great sports city and the Dog Pound one of the best fan bases in the National Football League?
Well, I'll tell you, our love runs deep in the Dog Pound. I mean, again, like I said before, lived through 1 and 31. Watched everyone, wanted to scream, but man, I was back then. We are, if I don't want to say when we make it to the Super Bowl, this town's going to explode. I mean, it's going to be a national holiday. Nobody's going to be working. We're all ready for the parade. We designate a day for the parade every year in case that, it does happen. We've got the day blocked off. So we just, the sports teams in this town are in all of our blood. So it's not even just the Dog Pound. We love our Cavs. We love our Guardians. If we got hockey coming in here, professional hockey, we'd love them just as much. So
from what I see, the Cleveland Monsters do well they play at the Cleveland Cavaliers Arena, and the AHL is a feeder league for the National Hockey League as well.
Yeah. See, it is surprising. We could have something happen, and you never know.
Absolutely. And finally, I got to ask you this. Can you just tell us a little bit about being a fitness instructor and any advice for those who are looking to lose weight and become healthier? And I'm kind of in that spot right now.
Well, it is probably, I don't want to say anything how should I say this? it's probably the most rewarding thing that I do. I think, helping people look and feel their best. I'm not a nutritionist. However, I have found that a lot of people don't fully understand that if you want to lose weight, you want to be healthy, and you want to be fit, it all starts with what you're eating and drinking. You can work out, 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. But if you are, slamming Mountain Dews and going to McDonald's for every meal, those workouts are worthless, completely worthless. So I think that, that's one big misconception. So clean up the diet, going with lean protein, vegetables, fruit,
Water.
half of your body weight in ounces of water. So if someone weighs 120 pounds, 60 ounces of water a day minimum is your goal. A gallon a day is great. If you can get it in, it's a challenge.
For me, I just have to reduce my salt intake and sodium and probably read more instructions. When you go to the grocery store, never go when you're hungry, and also
Right.
read the label and the packaging as well, I think can help you as well.
Right. Sugar is a demon. And that will add on pounds as well. And a lot of people, like we just said about the water, a lot of people discount that they are drinking their calories. Oh, I'm using Crystal Light. That Crystal Light's full of fake sugars and chemicals that you're putting in your body, even though you're
I
feeding
I
it a
used
bottle of water.
I was guilty of that, and now I'm staying away from it.
Good. Yes, that's good. You should feel a difference from that for sure. So,
And finally, are you able to just bring up a little bit about your HR role a little bit?
yeah. So I'm an HR director. I've been, in HR for 20 years now.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm in the healthcare industry, and it's a challenging role. I think, and I've been saying this a lot lately. I think since 2020, it has probably been the most challenging it's ever been in my career. A lot of issue hiring, a lot of issue retention. Like I said earlier, you have a bad day, these people just leave. So it's a challenge. It's a challenging job, but again, also very rewarding in another sense. I love when people aspire to advance, and I'm able to say to them, guess what? You're going to be a manager now, or you're going to be a team lead now, or, we're going to transfer you to this department from over here, and giving them that opportunity. You're going to make some more money. You're going to grow. And that is huge. That is huge. I love watching people advance and better themselves.
Because I think we have a healthcare shortage here too, and I think the pandemic was a big impact on that as well.
It did. It really did. It's sad. And you know what? I honestly, there were so many times in 2020 that I cry. I honestly cried because I was afraid for our people. They were afraid. We were in person a little bit. You had to have patients come in, and they had to be seen. It wasn't just COVID going on, and I have these fearful employees, and you could just hear it in them. And it just broke my heart into a million pieces that, sorry, you have to go in, against this illness that we really, truly didn't know much about at the time, right? So scared a lot and what it did then too was it scared a lot of people from going into healthcare. The MA shortage is real. The medical, it's real.
It's here in Canada too. We've got the same issues.
Schools not filling up. Nobody's signing up.
We have the same issues here. We might be in different countries, but I think we have a lot of the same issues that you guys have in the States.
Of course. Yeah,
definitely.
Not surprised.
Yeah. And finally, I do this with all my guests. What are some fun facts about yourself and the city of Cleveland that us Canadians might not know about?
Oh goodness. There's not. I always say that. I'm like, I feel so boring when people ask me that stuff. Like, there's not a fun fact to me. Hey, the fun fact I did tell you earlier that I actually was born in Michigan.
Dearborn, Michigan.
That is something that not a lot of people know. Lived up there till I was 11 and then moved down to Ohio when my dad got a job down here. You know what's and I think a great fact about the city of Cleveland is, there's you have to come experience it. We do have great restaurants and we have a lot of fun events that are always happening in the city. The West Side Market is a destination place, I'm telling you. And so we have so many great things. You could come here, spend the weekend in a hotel, walk to everywhere, Uber to everywhere, get in a show at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse if there's a concert in town. There's always something happening. And we love festivals here. We always have, we have in Little Italy, we have the feast, we've got, a great Greek festival. We've got it all going on here. It's always a good time through the summer.
So Cleveland's become a multicultural city then?
Yes. It's a great time.
What drink represents Cleveland, and what's the favorite food dish in Cleveland?
Cleveland, it's a pierogi.
Pierogi?
We're definitely the pierogi city. But as far as a drink, we do have a couple really good breweries. We have Great Lakes Brewery here, and that is, that's probably our beer. That they do, they open their Christmas ale up in November or maybe even late October. I don't remember. I think it's November. And that is an event. Santa's there, everybody's there to taste that first Christmas ale. And then they keep a keg and they open it on Christmas in July as well. So.
And we actually have a Great Lakes Brewery here in Toronto as well.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Have you ever been to Canada yet, Ontario?
You know what? I went to Windsor. I have some relatives up there, but I have not been since I was little. So it's been a long time.
Because if you ever come back to Ontario again and you like wine, check out Niagara Falls. That's kind of like our Napa Valley is to the San Francisco, California area, is Niagara Falls. And it's sort of like Vegas here too.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I've heard that. That. We have a nice casino downtown too now, the Jack.
That's huge, eh? All these sports stadiums I go to, there's always a casino within minutes of the stadium, and it's huge business.
It is. It's huge. It's great.
I'm not a big gambler. If I do go into one of those places, I'll take $20, $25, and that's it, because I've worked in that environment and I've seen how much people have lost their homes. They've lost everything. And it's just it's like alcohol. You have to be responsible.
I totally agree.
All right. And finally, where can my audience follow you on social media? And again, your podcast, The Squad Pod, just if you want to promote it again before we wrap it up.
Sure. Yeah. So you can find us again, YouTube at Bougie Sports. And the website will be back up, bougiesports.com. And we are at The Real Squad Pod on X. And then, as you can see at the bottom, Stefanski Roll for me on X and Instagram and the TikTok. And Yvette, though, I will say, matter of fact, she's doing a podcast tomorrow at 3. So she's on weekly. She tries to be on something weekly. So if you follow Bougie Sports Podcast on X, you'll see everything will funnel through that as well.
What's one word to describe Yvette? If you had one word to describe her.
Energetic.
I'd say passionate too. That's a good choice. But hey, I want to say, Lana, I apologize for keeping you over 45 minutes. But
no, that's okay.
I want to say thank you so much for coming on my show tonight. And give me a little bit of time, and I'll send you the video, the audio, and the links to my radio stations. And you or Yvette and anybody on your show have an open invite to come back on again. And I'm hoping to get back to Cleveland this year. I haven't been there since 2018. Last time I was there, it was 108 degrees, and I ended up having sunstroke because it was so bloody hot at Progressive Field. Too hot.
Oops.
But I want to come when it's a little bit cooler. But I
Yeah.
love Progressive Field and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it's
Yes.
only about 5.5, 6 hour drive for me coming from Ontario, and
Mhm.
I just love it down there. And I just won't wear my Michigan Wolverine stuff when I
Don't do that.
back
Yeah,
it.
don't do
No, no. But hey, I want to say thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank
I
you.
had a blast talking to you,
Me
and
too.
continued success with your podcast. And if I need some fitness advice, is it okay if I send you a DM here and there?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yep, that would be fine.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
have a great night, and thank you so much for coming on live with CDP Sports Talk.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed season 7, episode 55 tonight with my guest Lana Carrino. She's a co-host of the Bougie Sports, co-host of the Squad podcast on Bougie Sports, and she's a fitness instructor, a new WWE fan, and also a Cleveland sports fan as well. So I want to say thank you to Lana Carrino for coming on here tonight. And before we wrap things up, guys, I'm going to show you, since this is a Cleveland themed episode, I'm going to show you a little video courtesy of the Cleveland Browns YouTube channel, some of their highlights from the 2023 season. And the Browns had a terrific season and just fell short in the playoffs to the Houston Texans.
2nd down and 5. Ford over the right side. Nice change of direction. Watson throws a block for him. Jerome Ford down the sideline. Ford stumbling and in for the touchdown. We'll make sure he got in. Browns are on top by 1.
The ruling on the field is that the runner is short of the touchdown.
And Kareem Hunt, dealing with a thigh injury, is going to play as Ford breaks one. Ford toting the rock to the house. And Cleveland throws down the gauntlet at the start.
Has found a home here in Jim Schwartz's defense, playing up near the line of scrimmage like a linebacker.
Well, apparently for Shane Steichen, they're not out of field goal range. Matt Gay is blocked. That's a live football. It's picked up Denzel Ward. Shane Steichen rolling the dice. They attempt.
Play action, fires, picked off at the 30-yard line. Ronnie Hickman. All the way. Touchdown.
First down, fake it. Bootleg, Flacco sets, throws, looking for separation. It's caught. Amari Cooper down the sideline for the touchdown.
Minshew from his end zone. Here comes Garrett. Football's loose. Who's got it? Cleveland. It's still loose. No signal yet. Touchdown. Tony Fields as Myles Garrett just keeps him.
37. Blitz coming. Walker has it blocked. Lofting far sideline. Cooper. Oh, what a catch! Amari Cooper.
This is where Amari Cooper excels. He might not have to.
Moore is now out. Marquise Goodwin comes in as the wide out to look for, and Flacco almost gets sacked. There he goes, throws on the run, caught inside the 30, inside the 20 goes Jerome Ford, still on his feet. Ford looking for the end zone, gets there.
Browns with touchdowns on their last 2 possessions.
Deflected, picked off, and taken back by Newsome. Newsome stayed in bounds. Touchdown. Wow.
All the way back to his days as a Baltimore Raven.
Here's Flacco looking downfield. Open. And Cooper makes the catch and breaks free. Cooper tiptoes all the way for the touchdown.
That clip was courtesy of the Cleveland Browns YouTube channel. The Cleveland Browns had an outstanding season last year with all the injuries to their quarterbacks, and Joe Flacco coming out as a fourth quarterback, leading them to an 11-7 regular season. And then unfortunately, it fell off in the wild card game, losing 45-14 to CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans. But they're very optimistic about this 2024 Cleveland Browns team and having a healthy Deshaun Watson back as well. And it should be an interesting season as well, guys. My next live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by BarryCullen.com, Thursday, April 4th at 7 p.m. Eastern with my special guest, Nick Small, who's the co-host of our Argo Bounce Live audio show during the CFL and the Toronto Argonauts season. Will be on, and Nick is also a longtime Toronto Argonauts season ticket holder and CFL fan as well. So we're going to talk about the 23 Toronto Argonauts and where they go from here in 2024 with the draft, the combine, and some changes with free agency to the roster as well. Also, guys, just wanted to let you guys know, just 1 second, I forgot what I wanted to say here, but I also do some volunteer work with the local Humane Society. Please check out the Cambridge and District Humane Society at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario. 519-623-7722, or you can visit their website at cambridgehumanesociety.org. That's cambridgehumanesociety.org. There's a couple great dogs down there looking to be adopted, Clifford and Alpine, and I will be walking hopefully both of those dogs tomorrow as well. And again, adopt, don't shop. And if you're in the Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, Guelph area, again, check out the Cambridge District Humane Society, and you can visit their website at cambridgehumanesociety.org as well. Also, guys, Live with CDP Sports Talk is a weekly sports and entertainment talk show hosted by yours truly. Is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk, the heartbeat of Atlanta. Our radio station's website is wqeefm.radio12345.com. I am also on radio station CKRT, Border City Radio in Windsor, weeknights from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern, and our radio station's website is CKRT-BorderCityRadio.com. They play the best soft rock of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Shout out to station manager and owner Donna Tuckwell, and station manager from WQEE, Ryan O'Neill as well. Also, guys, Live with CDP Sports Talk is live streamed through these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. Follow me there at Chris Palme as well. And speaking of social media, I am on Cameo.com. If you're looking for a personalized video, pep talk, birthday wishes, want to talk sports with me, or ask CD a question, check me out on Cameo.com and click in Chris Palme, and the proceeds from my Cameo videos will go to my radio and media work as well. So again, check out Chris Palme, myself, on Cameo.com. I'm also on a website called beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. All my social media sites, all my previous radio shows, and my media work is on beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. Live with CDP Sports Talk is again sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership here in Guelph at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Automall. Check out BarryCullen.com for the newest selections of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210, or email them at info@BarryCullen.com. And speaking of Barry Cullen Chevrolet right now, check out the refreshed 2024 Chevy Trailblazer, 5.49% financing for up to 84 months. And eligible Costco members can receive a Costco gift card up to $750 bonus on select SUVs. More details at barrycollins.com. And speaking of Trailblazers, I'm loving my 2023 Trailblazer RS that I bought last year from Nathan Laud at Barry Collins Chevrolet. It's great on gas, it's comfortable, and has all the bells and whistles that I need. And I love the weight and the white color with the black trim as well. So, and Barry Collins Chevrolet dealership has been around in Guelph since 1969. It's family owned and operated, and a shout out to their GM and president, Mark Cullen, who sponsored my show back in September of 2022 as well. Also, I'm also a content creator as well, guys. You can follow me on TikTok. I joined TikTok just under 4 years ago at Live with CDP. And I post a lot of my promos and my media work there as well at Live with CDP. And I want to say thank you to my 2,000 plus 2,000 followers on TikTok as well. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports Talk. If you're into webinars or podcasting, check out StreamYard.com. I highly recommend it if you're a live streamer like myself and a podcast radio host as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk, the audio version is available on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, and Tuned In. Finally, guys, you can email or text Live with CDP Sports Talk at cpalme19@gmail.com, or you can text the show at 519-820-7188. If you have comments, questions, suggestions, feedback, would be greatly appreciated as well. And again, I want to say thank you to my guest tonight, Lana Carrino, for coming on from the Squad Pod off the Bougie Sports Network. Her coming on talking about her podcast show with Yvette LeBoy, and also talking a little bit about the Cleveland Guardians and the Browns as well. And I want to say thank you to Keith McPherson, a radio host and personality with WFAN 66 AM Sports Radio in New York, for coming on as well. And just want to say thank you to everyone for watching this live stream and on audio platforms as well. And also, guys, some a little sad news today. I grew up here in Canada in the 70s, and one of our comedy shows back in the 70s, early 80s was a show called SCTV, which is our version of Saturday Night Live. And one of the famous actors, comedians on there today passed away, Joe Flaherty, at the age of 82, known for his SCTV fame, and also his he did many other TV shows and movies. For me, it was Happy Gilmore as the heckler. Unfortunately, Joe passed away today at 82, and he'll now be with John Candy up in comedy heaven. And deepest sympathies and condolences to the Flaherty family. And he was a legend in the industry with SCTV and many TV shows and movies, especially Happy Gilmore. That's one of my favorite golf movies as well. Also, we have some OHL action on tonight. Game 3 between the Erie Otters and Kitchener Rangers. Series is tied at 1-1. They should be in the second period right now at the Erie Progressive Insurance Arena there as well. And Sean Bernard, who's their play-by-play voice on TV and radio, just was on my show last week as well. And as for Major League Baseball, the Detroit Tigers are 4-0 for the first time since 2015, coming off a 5-0 extra win. A 5-0 extra innings win last night at Citi Field against the Mets, led by Carson Kelly's 3-run shot in the 10th inning. The Tigers are 4-0. They swept Chicago. They beat the Mets. The Tigers were scheduled to play the Mets tonight, weather permitting, in New York, as they were supposed to get some rain there. And Citi Field is one of my Major League Baseball bucket lists to go as well. Hopefully this Tigers team can keep playing good baseball and just got to take one game at a time. 4-0. And the New York Yankees are off to a 5-0 start for the first time since 1992, and the first time in New York Yankee history they've ever won their first 5 road games, which is hard to believe in their great history. And the Pittsburgh Pirates, for the first time since I think 1993, I believe 1993, have started out 5-0 as well. Obviously, it's quite early in the baseball season, long ways to go, but I'm being optimistic as a Detroit Tiger fan that this team can get over 500 and hopefully win the American League Central Division as well. So again, I want to say thank you to my guest today, Keith McPherson, earlier on from WFAN in New York, for coming on, and my guest just now, Lana Carrino, the co-host of the Squad podcast on the Bougie Sports Network in Cleveland, for coming on as well. I hope everybody has a great evening and can come back for season 8, my premiere of season 8, episode 1, this Thursday, April 4th at 7 o'clock, again with my co-host and friend Nick Small. And we're going to talk Toronto Argonauts and some Canadian Football League, which will be starting up. Their training camp will be starting up in May. And it looks like the Argos will be back at the University of Guelph this year as well. So again, Live with CDP Sports Talk is brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet here in Guelph and on radio stations WQEE 99.1 FM and CKRT Border City Radio in Windsor. Have a great evening, everybody, and thanks for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports Talk. We'll see you Thursday at 7 o'clock with Nick Small.